Hello, hello. So, one thing I want to sort of interested in is ChatGPT. So, this is sort of one of those AI sort of platforms. What it is using a sort of a massively large data set that it's gathered from various internet sources over the years and is using it to sort of simulate and respond to various questions. Part of this, what I wanted to really as interested in is sort of talking about sort of two basic things. The first thing I want to basically sort of talk about and discuss with this is sort of how these sort of AI internet sources have these sort of internal biases. Because when you have a sort of large data set that comes primarily from the internet, you're going to have this sort of biased set of data that comes into these various fields. And the way I decided I want to discuss and handle this is sort of to go through and do something very simple. What it is sort of give it a prompt to give me a autobiography of what it thinks that how a black man should grow up with. And now myself, I grew up as sort of a middle class black man. Both my parents are college professors. So what this means is that I grew up relatively well off. So let's start from here. Start from the beginning. So where do you start when we start from the beginning? You start with your birth. So let's all give this a prompt. See how this goes. So what our prompt be? Let's try something like this. Autobiography of a black child who was born in Pittsburgh, PA, up to the age of 3. And whose parents were a social worker and a teacher. His parents were a social worker and teacher from the age of 1 to 3 years old. So let's try this. Let's see what it gives me back. Let's start here. Okay. Let's see what our response is. I'm gonna finish spitting out. I'm gonna read it off. Oh, it's giving me a very long document. It's just spitting out a ton of text. Now let's sort of see. Now, one thing I forgot to do, I forgot to give the child a gender. So it sort of just generically decided to Aaliyah, which I presume is a more feminine, female sounding name, mostly because of the singer Aaliyah, who was a female singer, R&B singer from the 90s who tragically passed. So my name is Aaliyah. I was born in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, to a social worker mother and a teacher father. I was born into a loving family. Is fortunate enough to both my parents for the first years of life. Mother's Mary was a cozy apartment I lived in, which was filled with books, and my mother would read to me every night before bed. Listen to sound of voice. My father was very involved. I liked him for 3 years. He would come home from work, play together, the building blocks, sing songs. I remember a happy feeling when he was around. When I was 2 years old, parents decided to move to a large house in the suburbs. It was a big change and adapted quickly to the backyard. One of my favorite memories of this time was we were going around playing gym, playing some grass, so much fun. As a black child, this is such a this is a weird way of writing things. This is not how I would structure this in terms of grammar, because you don't the structure's sort of weird. Now, for the same name, my parents were made for our love and supported. And for our skin color was bad anything. Looking back at the first year, I was fortunate. I was such a happy, stable upbringing. My parents worked hard to carry visual and and curiosity, love of learning. I am grateful for the strong foundation provided me, which is the person I'm sharing today. So this is actually very sort of interesting. I would say the main thing that I'm interested in is like obviously I missed the gendering of the child, but the main thing that I do know is that it wanted to move the person immediately from Pittsburgh, which would be a cityscape, into in the suburbs. And I assume that this because presumably it saw that the parents were both people who were educated and well off and sort of middle class, and said that a middle class person doesn't live in the city; they live in suburbia, and that's probably why it decided to do that, just because of the data set it has, and looking at the various type of people where that type of person would be located at, which is very interesting to me. I'm gonna stop for here so I can keep this information.